Hi everyone. In the last voice thread you explored parameters A and B and you learned what happens to the basic step function when you introduce parameters A and B. This voice thread we're going to focus on parameters H and K. You will explore using the Desmos link and Mrs. Drillette to the rescue. That link will be in the required pages. So parameters H and K, are you ready for this? What's in this voice thread? As described in the first tile, you're going to explore parameters H and K. But first, we'll review the basic step function. We'll do that quickly. After you've explored, after I've helped you with what happens to the graph when you introduce parameters H and K, you're going to have your first attempt in learning how to apply parameters H and K. A review. First thing you do is recognize that it's a greatest integer function. How do you know that? Square brackets. As soon as you see square brackets, you know that your graph will have steps. Then you've got to determine what the transformed graph will look like. It moves all around the graph, and that is determined by the A, the B, the H, and the K. The last voice thread, you learned about the A and the B. This one you're going to explore first. You're going to explore the H and the K. A review of what the basic function looks like. Parameter A is 1. That means the vertical distance between each step is 1. Parameter B is positive 1. That means that the length of the step will be 1. The black dot is on the left because it's positive. And because both A and B are positive, the steps are going up. The H and the K is 0, 0. That is the starting point. 0, 0. That's what you're going to learn about in this voice thread. So I want you to explore parameter K. I want you to first explore when parameter K is greater than 0. What does that mean? It means it's a positive number. Now, how do you know which one is parameter K? Parameter K is the value that is after the square bracket. The number will go here. In your Desmos calculator, you make A equals 1, B equals 0, H equals 0, and you observe the pattern when K is a number greater than 0. Explore, and I'll show you in the next slide what happens. Did you notice that the basic step function moves upwards when the K is greater than 0? Because the H is 0 and because the K is 4, that is our starting point, 0, 4. And then we continue our graphing with the A and the B. Here, for this voice thread, the A will equal to 1, the B will equal to 1. The B is positive, so our graph will go to the right, and the vertical distance between each step is 1. So that will not change in this voice thread. Remember, we're focusing on the K. The geometric transformation we say is a translation 4 units upward. Now I would like you to explore using the Desmos calculator when K is less than 0. Remember, where does the K go? The K goes after the square bracket. When the K is less than 0, well, that's a negative number. So you're actually going to be subtracting a number here. In the Desmos calculator, make A equal 1, B equal 1, h equals 0, and k equal to your negative number, and look to see what the pattern is. Did you notice that the basic function goes downward? We say that there's a translation 4 units downward. The h is 0, the k is -4. That is our starting point. The h and the k, 0, -4. We put a dot. Our b is positive. We go to the right 1 unit because the b is 1. Our steps are going upward because both the a and the b are positive, and the vertical distance between each step is 1. Now, using the Desmos calculator, explore parameter h when parameter h is a number greater than 0. Keep your a equal 1, keep your b equal 1, but now you're going to change the h. Make it a number which is greater than 0, but the k stays 0. Keep in mind that the function is x minus h. You're going to be subtracting a positive number. Explore it, and then I'll help you in the next slide. Did you notice when the h is greater than 0, such as positive 3, the graph will move 3 units to the right? Did you notice that your h and your k, 3, 0, that's where you will put a dot? And then you look at the value of a and b to determine the rest of the graph. Now I want you to pay attention to the rule here. If I gave you the rule, y is equal to square bracket x minus 3. Quickly, students will say, oh, the h is -3, but it isn't. Because remember, our rule is minus h. Minus h is equal to -3. That means the value of h is 3. Beware of that. Now what I would like you to do is explore when parameter h is less than 0. That is a negative number. A remains 1, b remains 1, h is what you change in your Desmos calculator, and k is equal to 0. Do you see a pattern? Did you notice when parameter h is a negative number, your graph will move to the left? We say this is a translation 2 units to the left. Now, I want you to be careful with the rule. I want to focus on the rule here. Remember, it's x minus h. If you're going to subtract a negative number, it becomes plus. So don't be caught by thinking that if the rule is given to you, that your h is a positive value. It isn't, because you're subtracting a number. So if I look at my rule, which is negative h, it's the negative h that is equal to positive 2. Therefore, the h is equal to -2. Be careful with that. What you see on the board is the filled-in chart for the geometric transformations for greatest integer functions. Determine parameters a, b, h, and k will help you determine the geometric transformations and the important information that you need. So here's your first attempt in learning. At your desk, graph the greatest integer function where the rule is provided. Y is equal to x minus 5 plus 4. Remember, we're only focusing on H and K in this lesson. The A and B remain 1 for both parameters. Draw the graph, determine the geometric transformations, and then on the next slide, you will verify your answer. I'm also providing a link to the memory aid tips that will help you for this, and you will see this in the next tile. So here's your first attempt in learning for parameters h and k that are introduced to the basic step function. Notice, first of all, always recognize that when you have a square bracket, your graph will be steps. Then what do? You've got to identify the A, the B, the H, and the K. The A is the number in front of the square bracket. It's understood that it's 1. The B is the number inside the square bracket in front of the X. Here it's understood it's 1. The H, be careful. H is equal to positive 5. And the K is equal to positive 4. That determines our starting point. HK is 5, 4. We look on our graph, we locate 5, 4, and we place a dot. The next step, you determine how parameter B affects the graph. There's 2 things. One of them is the B positive or negative? Here it's positive. That's why our step will be that the black dot, the closed dot, is on the left and the white dot is on the right. There is no translation. And the length of the step is another thing you've got to determine, and that is a formula. 1 over B, 1 over 1 is 1. So the length of the step is 1 unit. We have 1 step. Then we have to determine how parameter A affects the graph. Again, there are 2 things. One of them is the distance of the counter step. Because A is 1, the vertical distance between each step will be 1 unit. The other thing you've got to determine is if the steps are going up or down. There's no translation. There's no reflection is what I should say. There is no reflection because A and B are both positive. That's why our steps are going up. Our geometric transformations, because the H is positive 5, we say that there's a translation 5 units to the right. This is from the basic function. And because the H is positive 4, we say that there's a translation 4 units up.